A female coworker held her lower belly and leaned over my cubicle. Her voice was barely a whisper. Chloe, there are a few boxes of files in the basement archive. Can you come help me carry them? In my past life, I was too soft-hearted. I went with her. Half an hour later. She lay in the pool of her own blood in the emergency stairwell. Blood soaked half the hallway. When she woke up in the hospital, she cried and pointed at me. Chloe forced me to carry those heavy boxes. He pushed me. I was fired. Sued and bankrupted. My father suffered a fatal heart attack from the stress. My mother went insane. And I eventually jumped off the roof of our office building. It was only after my death that I found out she had 8 sugar daddies. At the same time, her pregnancy was already doomed due to multiple previous abortions. This time I sat firmly in my chair and didn't budge. You're pregnant, Bella. You shouldn't be lifting heavy things. I picked up my phone and opened our department's main Snapchat group. Let me get you some help. I typed out a message. Bella is pregnant. She needs male colleagues to help retrieve files from the basement. Archive. Elevator use only. I hit send. The office instantly went dead silent. Bella's face froze. The administrative supervisor. Sarah replied in the chat on it. HR followed up immediately. I will confirm the safety protocols. For pregnant employees right now. Bella opened her mouth, flustered. You didn't have to tell everyone. I looked her straight in the eye. You're pregnant, Bella. It's not safe for you to go alone. In my past life, she LED'd me into that blind spot in the stairwell, where there were no security cameras. In this life, I was going to make sure she walked a path. Under the watchful eyes of everyone. Bella bit her lower lip, her eyes turning red. Chloe, I just wanted you to walk down with me. I didn't say I was going to make you do all the lifting. I put my phone back on the desk. You literally just said, come help me carry them. Her face turned pale. I must have phrased it wrong. No worries, I smiled. That's why I'm helping you follow the official safety procedures. She stared at me. The look in her eyes lasted only a fraction of a second. It was too quick for anyone else to notice the pure hatred in it. A few seconds later, she put on her victim face again. Are you still mad at me? Because I didn't finish editing the project proposal last time? I know my efficiency went down after I got pregnant. But I really didn't mean to drag the team down. Emma Jenkins immediately whispered to comfort her. Bella, don't overthink it. Chloe is probably just looking out for you. Tyler Carter sneered, looking out for her. By blasting her pregnancy in the main group. Pregnant women deserve some privacy. Don't they? I looked up at him. Then you go carry the boxes, Tyler. Tyler choked on his words. I didn't say I wouldn't. Just then. Sarah, the admin supervisor, walked over pushing a utility cart. Eric glanced at Bella and said politely. Bella, you don't need to go down there. Just email me the file names and box numbers and we'll get them. Pregnant staff are not allowed in the archive room. Or to lift heavy loads. That's company policy. Bella stood there totally paralyzed. I added, since those files contain bidding drafts. Please log the box numbers and take photos of them for the record. Sarah nodded. Right. Bidding documents must have a clear paper trail. Bella's expression grew even uglier. She didn't actually want the files. She wanted me alone with her in the basement. In the emergency stairwell. Where the security cameras had been broken for 3 months. In my past life. She fell there. No one saw it. So whatever she said became the absolute truth. She said I pushed her. I said I didn't. The company asked me for proof. I had none. In this life. I would never go to any secluded spot with her again. Bella lowered her head and sent the file details to Sarah. After Sarah left with her team. Bella remained standing by my desk. After a long silence, she whispered. Chloe, you seem so guarded. Against me now. I opened the meeting minutes on my screen without even looking up. Paper trail in the workplace protects you and it protects me. At 3 p.m., the files were delivered to the conference room. Sarah posted the photos in the chat group. Every step of the process was perfectly documented. No one could find a single flaw. Before leaving work, Bella posted an update on her Snapchat story. It was a picture of a hospital hallway. The caption read, I'm so sorry, sweetie. Mommy tried her best. Within 10 minutes. Her comment section blew up. What's wrong, Bella? Did the company make you work overtime again? Being pregnant at work is so hard. Sending hugs. I replied to all of them with. I'm fine. I just don't want to be a burden to anyone. I stared at that sentence for 2 seconds. Took a screenshot and saved it. Then I turned off my phone. Bella wasn't going to stop. She wanted my spot for the European relocation program. And she wanted to find a scapegoat for the baby. She was already bound to lose. Sure enough, she didn't show up for work the next day. On the 3rd day, the HR director, Miranda Blake, sent me a message. Chloe, come to conference room 3 immediately. When I pushed open the door to conference room 3, Bella was sitting on the sofa by the window. Her face was paper white and her eyes were swollen as if she had cried all night. Sitting next to her was her husband, Marcus Vance. My past life. This man leaked my home address online and screamed at the camera, calling me a baby killer. To raise money for the settlement, my father went to the bank to beg for a loan. He suffered a massive heart attack and collapsed right outside the bank doors. Later, Marcus said in his live stream, I just wanted justice for my child. I didn't know her father would die. He didn't know how convenient. Miranda sat at the head of the table, with several documents in front of her. Chloe, Bella, has reported you for severe workplace bullying and abusive management behavior. I pulled out a chair and sat down. Be specific. Hearing this, Bella immediately burst into tears. Chloe, I really didn't want things to come to this. I looked at her then. You don't have to make a scene. Her crying caught in her throat. Marcus slammed his hand on the table. My wife just had a miscarriage and this is your attitude? I looked at him. A miscarriage is tragic. But tragedy is not evidence of a crime. You. Miranda frowned. Mr. Vance, please calm down first. And she slid a medical report over to me. Bella had vaginal bleeding 2 nights ago. The hospital diagnosed it as a natural miscarriage. Following embryonic demise. I flipped the page. It was written clearly there. Embryonic demise. The baby had stopped developing. I put the paperwork back on the desk. So what does that have to do with me? Bella covered her mouth, her shoulders shaking violently as she sobbed. Didn't go to the archives with me that day. But the night before. You forced me to revise the project proposal until midnight. You also said in the break room that my pregnancy made me a drag on the team. You said, if I had any decency, I would voluntarily drop out of the selection for the European relocation. She looked up at me. Her eyes filled with tears. My stomach was already hurting then. But I was too scared to say anything. I didn't want you to think I was just being dramatic. Marcus roared with bloodshot eyes. How can you treat a pregnant woman like this? Are you even human? Miranda looked at me. Chloe, did you make Bella work overtime during her pregnancy? No. Did you use abusive language to trigger her? No. Did you exclude and target her? Because of the competition for the European relocation? I laughed. Miranda. Are you investigating or are you helping her rehearse her testimony? Miranda's face darkened. Watch your tone, Chloe. The company is dealing with a major incident involving a pregnant employee's miscarriage. As the project lead, you must cooperate. I will cooperate. I turned on my phone's voice recorder. Please continue. I need a record of this, too. Miranda stared at my phone. Her frown deepening. Chloe. Internal company discussions are not to be recorded. Then please send me a formal written notice. She was speechless. Bella sobbed, Chloe. Why do you have to be like this? I just lost my baby. I'm not trying to ruin you. I looked at her. Then. Why is every single word out of your mouth pointing the finger at me? The glass doors of the conference room weren't soundproof. Soon, notifications started popping up in our office. Gossip chats. My phone kept buzzing. I screenshotted every single one of them. Miranda placed a temporary suspension notice in front of me. Effective immediately, your authority as project lead is suspended. I asked. Before the investigation is even finished. You're already handing out punishments? Miranda said coldly, this is risk control. Risk control. In my past life. They used those 2 words to reduce me from a human being to trash. Fine. I stood up. Please send this via email. Copy, legal compliance, and me. Marcus sneered, still thinking about suing the company. I stared at him. If anyone defames me, covers up the truth or passes judgment before a proper trial, I won't let a single one of them off the hook. Bella's crying quieted down. But I saw it behind the tissue covering her face. The corners of her mouth curved up slightly. By afternoon, the company's anonymous online forum was on fire. The post didn't mention my name. But every keyword, department, project, relocation, pregnant, miscarriage, hit me right in the face. The comment section exploded faster than a powder keg. I screenshotted the thread from the first page to the last. 10 minutes later, my access to the project management system was revoked. Tyler Carter was now listed as the lead for the European Energy Grid project. My application status for the European relocation turned gray. I stared at the screen. I felt absolutely nothing. At 7 p.m., Miranda called me into the conference room again. This time, a mutual separation agreement was laid out on the table. Severance pay, 0. Confidentiality clauses 12. After scanning through it, I looked up at her. Miranda. Is this a separation agreement or a hush money contract? Miranda was expressionless. The company is offering you a way to leave with dignity. 0 severance is what you call dignity. If you don't sign, Bella's family will sue you. The company will also terminate your contract. Based on our investigation. It won't look good on your resume. She paused, softening her tone. Chloe, you're talented. It won't be hard for you to start fresh at another company. In my past life, I believed her. I thought if I just left the company, everything would blow over. But the moment I left, the company pinned all the blame on me. Bella and Marcus used my signature on the agreement to claim that I admitted my guilt. Out of fear. During the lawsuit. That very agreement became one of the final nails in my coffin. This time, I pushed the agreement back. I'm not signing. Miranda narrowed her eyes. Chloe, don't burn your bridges. I smiled slightly. I didn't burn the bridge. You guys are trying to push me off it. As I walked out of the conference room, I saw Marcus talking on the phone at the end of the hallway. He was shouting, yeah, she. He refuses to apologize. My wife might never be able to get pregnant again. This abusive manager needs to be exposed to the public. He saw me and glared at me with pure venom. I took out my phone and tapped the record button. Right in front of his face. Keep talking. His face froze. I walked right past him. Behind me. Bella started sobbing again. Felt like a perfectly rehearsed play. The next morning, a company-wide email was sent out. Subject. Mandatory training on pregnancy protection and workplace ethics. It was scheduled for 2 revolutions per minute in the main auditorium. Attendance was mandatory for all staff. I stared at the email, my finger resting on the mouse. In my past life, the company had also put me on public trial in the main auditorium. They called it corporate values alignment. But it was actually a public execution. At 1:55 p.m., I walked into the auditorium. A sign with my name on it was taped to the center seat of the very front row. It was a custom-made defendant's box just for me. Whispers erupted behind me. She actually showed up. Bella is in the hospital. And she's walking around like nothing happened. How thick-skinned can you get? If I were her, I would have resigned already. I sat down, started my phone's voice recorder, and synced the file to my cloud storage. On the stage, Miranda stood in a sharp black suit. A giant screen behind her read, "Caring for pregnant employees. Upholding workplace standards." She picked up the microphone. Her voice filled with heavy solemnity. Recently, a regrettable incident involving an employee's health occurred at our office. According to our preliminary findings, certain management staff showed unprofessional communication, unreasonable task allocation, and a severe lack of empathy toward a pregnant colleague. She didn't say allegedly. She didn't say. Pending investigation. Her gaze fell directly on me. The company has decided to suspend Chloe Miller from her role as project lead. Her nomination for the European relocation is revoked. Her annual stock options are frozen. We will proceed with the termination of her employment contract in accordance with the final investigation results. Miranda, may I say a few words? Bella asked. Miranda nodded. Bella, face the audience. You're streaming down her face. I don't want to ruin Chloe. She is highly capable and I've always looked up to her. Maybe the project stress was just too high, which is why she said those things to me and gave me those tasks. She covered her lower belly, her body trembling with sobs. But my baby is gone. If she is willing to sincerely apologize to my lost child, I will not pursue this further. She stood on the stage like a saintly victim. And I had already been nailed to the cross of guilt. Before the applause could even die down, I stood up. Miranda's face darkened instantly. Chloe, this is not an open Q&A session. I pulled out my phone. Then I'll dial 911 and let the police listen to this. Her expression changed. The head of the legal department in the front row quickly stood up, walked over to Miranda and whispered a few words in her ear. Miranda stared at me, her eyes like daggers. I met her gaze. A few seconds later, she said coldly, "You have 5 minutes." I plugged my phone into the projector system. The folder name flashed onto the giant screen. The Saintly Victims Playbook. I clicked open. First to appear on the screen was a contact list with notes. The first line read, "Sugar Daddy Charles." Underneath it, there were 7 more names. Bella's face drained of all color. Instantly, the tissue in her hand slipped and fell to the stage floor. Bella's face drained of all color. The auditorium went completely still. I clicked the next file. A spreadsheet appeared. Charles, hotel expenses. Derek, jewelry purchases. Julian, rent transfers. Nathan, credit card payments. Richard, vacation expenses. Victor, medical bills. Samuel, cash transfers. Marcus, husband. Someone in the audience whispered. Is that her husband? Marcus shot to his feet. This is fabricated. I smiled. Then you should have no problem proving it. I clicked again. Screenshots filled the screen. Messages. Bank transfers. Hotel reservations. Gift receipts. Private conversations. Bella's little network of men wasn't a rumor. It was organized. Dates, amounts, locations, and names were all there. The legal director slowly walked toward the stage. Where did you obtain these? That's irrelevant. I looked at Bella. What matters is whether they're authentic. Bella's lips trembled. Chloe. Don't. My voice cut through hers. You spent the last 3 days telling everyone that I destroyed your family. I clicked again. A medical report appeared. Then another. And another. The first was from 2 years ago. The second was from last year. The third was from 6 months ago. Each contained the same disturbing pattern. Pregnancy. Complications. Termination. Bella's previous pregnancies weren't some secret she had accidentally forgotten to mention. She had already been through several procedures. And the pregnancy she'd blamed on me? The hospital report clearly stated. Embryonic demise occurred prior to the alleged workplace incident. A gasp swept through the auditorium. Marcus stared at the screen. His face had gone gray. I turned toward him. Your wife didn't lose her baby because of me. I pointed at the medical report. The baby had already stopped developing. Marcus shook his head violently. No. That's impossible. Then ask the doctor. He looked at Bella. She couldn't meet his eyes. That was when Marcus understood. You knew? Bella's shoulders began shaking. Marcus. You knew? His voice cracked across the auditorium. Bella started crying. I was scared. You knew our baby was already gone? She covered her face. I didn't know what to do. Marcus took a step backward. I almost laughed. Almost. In my first life, this man had stood in front of thousands of people and called me a murderer. He had shown strangers pictures of my parents. He had encouraged them to harass my family. He had turned my father's death into another weapon against me. And now he couldn't even look at his own wife. I clicked to the next folder. European relocation, selection manipulation. Miranda's expression changed. Tyler stood frozen in the front row. I opened the first document. It was an email. From Miranda. To the regional director. The subject line read. Recommended candidate, Tyler Carter. The email had been sent 3 weeks before the selection process officially began. I clicked again. Another document. Tyler's performance evaluation. Someone had altered the numbers. Another. My original evaluation. Deleted. Another. Bella's recommendation. Marked as confidential. And another. A conversation between Miranda and Tyler. Tyler's voice came through the auditorium speakers. If Chloe leaves, I get the European position, right? Miranda's recorded voice answered. That's the plan. Tyler's knees nearly buckled. That's not what it sounds like. I looked at him. Really? I clicked the next file. A payment record appeared. Tyler had transferred Miranda money. The amount was large enough to make several people gasp. Miranda's face became terrifyingly pale. The legal director immediately said. Turn that off. No. Chloe, this is now a legal matter. Exactly. I turned toward him. That's why I'm showing it. Then I looked at the audience. Every person in this room has heard me accused of workplace abuse, pregnancy discrimination, and causing a miscarriage. I held up my phone. I have recordings. Then I held up a second phone. I have cloud backups. I pointed at the projector. And I have documents. My smile disappeared. From this moment forward, nobody gets to rewrite what happened. Bella suddenly rushed toward the stage. Chloe, please. I stepped backward. She stopped. For 1 second, she looked exactly like the woman from my previous life. Crying. Fragile. Helpless. Except this time, I wasn't falling for it. Please don't destroy me. I stared at her. You destroyed me first. She froze. You destroyed my career. I took 1 step forward. You destroyed my family. Another. You watched my father die while your husband blamed me. Another. You watched my mother lose her mind. My voice shook now. Not because I was afraid. Because I remembered. And then you watched me die. Bella's eyes widened. She couldn't understand how I knew. I leaned. You thought because I died, the truth died with me. She whispered. What are you talking about? I smiled. I'm talking about the fact that you chose the wrong person to frame twice. The auditorium erupted. People started talking over each other. Phones came out. Someone was already recording. Miranda slammed her hand against the table. Everyone remained calm. Nobody listened. The legal director was already on his phone. Tyler tried to leave. 2 security officers blocked the exit. Move. Mr. Carter, please remain inside. Tyler looked at me with panic. Chloe, I never knew she was going this far. I laughed. You knew enough. He swallowed. I didn't know about the miscarriage. I don't care. I pointed toward the screen. You helped take my position. You participated in the smear campaign. You lied during the investigation. And you accepted money. His face collapsed. Please. No. I walked back to my seat. For once, you can sit there and watch. Miranda's phone suddenly rang. She answered. Her expression changed. What? She listened for several seconds. Then slowly lowered the phone. The board. She looked at me. They've called an emergency meeting. I smiled. Good. The legal director stepped forward. Chloe, perhaps we can resolve this privately. I looked at him. Privately? He nodded. We can reinstate your position. No. Restore your relocation nomination. No. Full severance. No. His expression hardened. Then what do you want? I stood. I want everything documented. I pointed toward Miranda. Her investigation. Then Tyler. His promotion. Then Bella. Her accusation. Then Marcus. His public statements. And every person who participated in spreading them. I took out a printed document. They're all going into my legal complaint. Bella began crying again. I looked at her. Save your tears. She stopped. I spent my whole first life crying. I folded the document. This life belongs to me. Then I walked out. My phone buzzed before I even reached the elevator. Unknown number. We need to talk. I ignored it. Another message arrived. Please. You don't understand what happened. Ignored. Then another. Bella wasn't acting alone. I stopped. My thumb hovered over the screen. I opened the message. A photograph appeared. It showed Bella sitting in a restaurant with someone. Someone I recognized immediately. Miranda. But that wasn't what made my blood run cold. There was another person sitting across from them. The person who had funded the entire scheme. The person who had arranged the broken security cameras. The person who had made sure I would be alone in that stairwell in my previous life. The photograph had been taken 3 months before Bella ever asked me to carry those boxes. I zoomed in. My stomach tightened. Because the person sitting beside them was someone I had trusted completely. My older brother. I stared at the screen. Then I smiled. A real smile. The kind that made my cheeks hurt. So Bella hadn't been the mastermind. She had only been the bait. Fine. I'd spent enough time cutting down the people standing in front of me. Now I knew where the real monster was hiding. And this time I wasn't going to die before reaching him. Absolutely. This is where Chloe stops reacting to their schemes and starts controlling the entire board. I didn't call my brother. I didn't confront him. And I certainly didn't tell anyone what I discovered. Instead, I took a screenshot of the photograph and forwarded it to a private email account. Then I deleted the message. If someone had gone to the trouble of sending me that photograph anonymously, they wanted me to panic. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction. The next morning, I walked into the office like nothing had happened. The atmosphere changed the moment I entered. Conversation stopped. People looked away. A few employees gave me awkward smiles. Someone whispered. That's her. I smiled back. Good morning. Nobody knew what to say. Then I saw Tyler. He was packing his desk. His face looked 10 years older. I stopped beside him. Leaving? He wouldn't look at me. HR terminated me. Why? He laughed bitterly. Don't pretend you don't know. I genuinely don't. He finally looked up. You destroyed me. I tilted my head. No, Tyler. I picked up one of the boxes from his desk and handed it to him. You destroyed yourself. He stared at me. Then he lowered his voice. Chloe, please. Please what? I can tell you what happened. That caught my attention. I crossed my arms. Go ahead. Tyler looked around. Not here. Then don't tell me. I turned to leave. Wait. He grabbed my wrist. I immediately pulled away. His hand froze in midair. Don't touch me. He swallowed. Sorry. I looked directly into his eyes. Talk. He lowered his voice. Miranda wasn't the one who started it. I know. His expression changed. You know? I know someone else was involved. Tyler looked terrified. Who? I smiled. You tell me. He glanced toward the hallway. Then whispered. Your brother. My expression didn't change. Inside, every alarm in my body went off. What did he do? Everything. Tyler's voice cracked. He approached Miranda months before the European program. He told her you were unstable, difficult to control and planning to leave the company. I said nothing. He wanted your position. What else? He gave her information about your family. My fingers tightened. Why? I don't know. You do. Tyler shook his head. I swear. I stepped closer. Tyler, you have one chance to make yourself useful. He stared at me. Tell me everything. He swallowed. Your brother promised Miranda that if she helped remove you, he'd make sure she got a position at another company. That's all? No. His voice dropped. He also knew about Bella's pregnancy. I froze. Before I did? Yes. How? Tyler looked at me. Because he helped arrange it. My stomach turned. What exactly did he arrange? I don't know. Then find out. Tyler stared at me. You want me to spy on them? I want you to decide whether you'd rather be unemployed or useful. He gave a weak laugh. You really changed. No. I smiled. I just stopped being stupid. That afternoon, Tyler sent me everything. Emails. Payment records. Meeting schedules. Names. And one document that made me sit completely still. It was a contract. Bella's pregnancy had been insured through a private policy. The beneficiary wasn't Marcus. It wasn't Bella. It was my brother. I stared at the document for almost a minute. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because suddenly everything made sense. My brother hadn't simply wanted my job. He had wanted me gone. Permanently. My death in my first life hadn't been an unfortunate side effect. It had been the endgame. The stairwell. The missing camera footage. Bella's accusation. The lawsuit. My father's financial collapse. Everything had been connected. And my brother had been standing behind it. I saved the document. Then I called a lawyer. Not the company's lawyer. Mine. By Friday, I had a legal team. By Saturday, we had traced the money. By Sunday, we had enough evidence to make several people very nervous. But I still didn't expose my brother. Because I wanted something better. I wanted him to expose himself. So Monday morning, I made one phone call. Hello, this is Chloe Miller. The woman on the other end went silent. I smiled. I'm interested in the European relocation program. Ms. Miller, your nomination was revoked. I know. But I have evidence that the selection process was manipulated. Silence. Send me everything you have. I will. I hung up. Then I opened my brother's contact. For the first time since being reborn, I called him. He answered immediately. Chloe? His voice sounded warm. Concerned. Almost loving. Hey. What's wrong? Nothing. He laughed. Then why are you calling? I just wanted to hear your voice. There was a pause. Are you okay? I'm better than ever. He laughed again. That's my sister. I smiled. Actually, there's something I wanted to tell you. What? I know about Bella. Silence. A long one. Then he carefully asked. What about her? I leaned back in my chair. I know she was working with Miranda. His breathing changed. And Marcus. Another pause. And Tyler. He didn't answer. I continued. But there's one thing I haven't figured out. What? Why were you involved? Silence. Then he laughed. Chloe, you're under a lot of stress. I figured you'd say that. I mean it. You've been through something horrible. I agree. I think you should take some time off. Maybe. I smiled. Especially since I have a recording of this conversation. His breathing stopped. I could almost see his face. You wouldn't. I would. You can't record people without. I already did. Another silence. Then his voice changed. The warmth disappeared. What do you want? There it was. The real him. I smiled. Nothing. Then why are you doing this? Because I'm curious. About what? How much you planned? He didn't answer. I continued. Did you arrange the broken cameras? Silence. Did you pay Bella? Silence. Did you know about the pregnancy? Nothing. Did you know the baby had already stopped developing? His voice finally came. You're making a mistake. No. I laughed softly. I'm correcting one. Then I hung up. I knew he'd panic. And panic made people careless. 3 hours later, he made his first mistake. He called Miranda. She didn't answer. He called Bella. She answered. Unfortunately for them, Bella was sitting in a cafe with a microphone hidden beneath her collar. My lawyer had arranged the meeting. I listened to the recording that evening. My brother's voice filled the room. Chloe knows. Bella started crying. What do we do? Get rid of the evidence. Which evidence? Everything. What about the money? Forget the money. Bella's voice trembled. What about Marcus? Marcus is useless. What about Miranda? She's already compromised. Bella whispered. And me? My brother answered coldly. You were always disposable. The recording ended. I stared at my lawyer. That's enough. He nodded. Enough for what? I smiled. Not yet. He raised an eyebrow. What are you waiting for? I opened my laptop. One final piece. The money trail? No. The insurance policy? No. The camera repair records? I shook my head. The confession. I had evidence that could destroy them. But I wanted something stronger. I wanted them to admit everything in front of witnesses. So I sent one message. To Bella. I know everything. Meet me tomorrow at the company auditorium. Come alone. She replied within 30 seconds. What do you want? I typed. Your freedom. She agreed. Exactly as I expected. The next evening, Bella walked into the empty auditorium. She looked exhausted. I was sitting in the front row. She stopped several feet away. What do you want? I smiled. Sit down. She didn't move. Chloe, please. Sit. She slowly sat. I placed a folder on the seat beside me. You know what's inside. Her face went pale. I didn't mean for you to die. I stared at her. That was the first thing she said. Not I didn't frame you. Not I didn't know. She said she hadn't meant for me to die. I leaned forward. So you knew. Bella covered her face. I didn't know he'd push it that far. Who? She cried harder. Your brother. I nodded. And the stairwell? He told me to bring you there. The boxes? He said if I pretended I needed help, you'd come. The camera? He arranged for it to be broken. Your accusation? He told me exactly what to say. I sat back. And the miscarriage? Bella looked down. The baby was already gone. I know. I was desperate. You blamed me. I needed someone to blame. You destroyed my family. I know. You watched my father die. Bella started sobbing. I know. And you still helped him. She nodded. I reached into my bag. Then I placed a small recording device on the table. Bella stared at it. Her face went blank. How long? I smiled. Long enough. The auditorium doors opened. My lawyer walked in. Behind him were two investigators. Then the legal director. Then the regional director from the European office. And finally, my brother. His face was white. He looked at Bella. Then at me. I stood. Welcome. He stared at the recording device. You set me up. I smiled. No. I walked past him. You set yourself up. The regional director looked at him. Mr. Miller, we'd like to discuss several financial transfers. My brother stepped backward. The investigator approached. You'll need to come with us. He looked at me. For the first time in either lifetime, he looked afraid of me. I smiled. Don't worry. He froze. I won't let you die. His eyes widened. That would be too easy. I walked toward the exit. You're going to live. I looked over my shoulder. And you're going to watch every single thing you build collapse. Behind me, Bella started screaming. Miranda began arguing with the investigators. Marcus rushed into the auditorium demanding answers. Tyler stood outside with his resignation letter in his hand. And my brother? He stood in the center of the chaos he had created. Exactly where I wanted him. I stepped outside into the evening air. My phone buzzed. A message from the European regional director appeared. Your relocation nomination has been reinstated. Another message arrived seconds later. The board has offered you the position of project director. I stared at the screen. Then I laughed. In my first life, they had taken everything from me. This time, they had accidentally handed me everything I wanted. And I hadn't even finished taking revenge. The next 48 hours destroyed everything Bella had built. My lawyer filed the evidence with the police, the company board, and the insurance investigators. Miranda was suspended before lunch. Tyler agreed to cooperate in exchange for immunity from the company's internal investigation. Marcus's live streams were pulled apart by the evidence. Every accusation he'd made against me came back to haunt him. Then the insurance company discovered something even worse. The pregnancy policy had been taken out weeks before Bella ever told Marcus she was pregnant. And my brother was the beneficiary. Marcus completely lost it. You knew? Bella broke down. I was going to tell you. You were going to kill me too? I never said that. Then why was her brother the beneficiary? Bella had no answer. Their marriage collapsed within days. Marcus filed for divorce. Bella's sugar daddies disappeared one after another the moment they realized investigators were examining their financial records. Charles stopped answering her calls. Derek returned the jewelry. Julian froze the accounts he'd been paying. The woman who had once bragged about having 8 men fighting to spoil her suddenly couldn't get one of them to answer the phone. Then came my brother. The investigators uncovered payments connecting him to the broken security camera, the staged workplace incident, the insurance policy, and the smear campaign. He tried to blame Miranda. Miranda blamed Bella. Bella blamed my brother. Everyone started throwing everyone else under the bus. I didn't interfere. I sat in the boardroom and watched. The company formally apologized to me. My suspension was erased. My stock options were restored. The European relocation was reinstated. Then the regional director offered me something better. Chloe, we'd like you to lead the European Energy Division. I looked at the contract. On one condition. He nodded. Name it. Tyler Carter never works under me again. Agreed. And Miranda? Already terminated. I signed. 3 months later, I was standing in an airport with 2 suitcases and my promotion letter in my hand. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Former company employee faces multiple fraud and conspiracy charges. My brother's photograph appeared beneath the headline. I stared at it for a moment. Then deleted the notification. I had no reason to follow him anymore. He wasn't my problem. Neither was Bella. But as I walked toward my gate, another message appeared. From an unknown number. Bella, I'm sorry. I deleted it. Another came. I really am. Deleted. Then one final message. You won. I smiled. I typed one reply. No. Then I blocked her. I survived. And that was worth more than revenge. Because in my first life, I had died trying to prove I wasn't a monster. In this life, I didn't need anyone's forgiveness. I had my career. My freedom. My family was finally recovering. And I had an entire future waiting for me in Europe. As the plane lifted into the clouds, I looked down at the city where I had once died. Then I laughed. They had spent so much time planning my downfall. They forgot one thing. I got a second life. And I wasn't wasting a single day of it.